Hey, and welcome back to Talk of Better Worlds. I'm SirFelixTheCat, and this is The Blender, a weekly show where we take something that we're nerdy about and kind of make a list out of it. This week, I wanted to focus less on calling out IPs and more or less dive into what makes IPs good. And, in my opinion, that's a good story. Well, that was quick. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week. Okay, on second thought, I think it'd be better if I stay. Okay, so we know that a good story is very important to a good IP, but what is it that makes a story good? Today, that's what I wanted to focus on. So, here are 6 key points that make a good story. Okay, a couple quick side notes before we get into this. I'm going to be referring to everything in this list as in terms of reading a story, but a good story is also important to video games, movies, and TV shows. So as I go through this, if you don't like to read, then just insert watching. Really don't care. Just know, story is very important. Second note, for those of you watching, I'm going to be having gameplay from Dragon Quest Builders 2 on the screen. Let's get into this. Number 6. Character growth. As people, we all grow, not just physically, but also mentally we mature. Really, everything does. Even our favorite bands or musical artists. If the character in a story doesn't mature, or develop in some significant way, it makes the story feel dead and kinda pointless. Growth is what takes a static character and makes them dynamic, and makes them feel real. If the character stays one note for too long, it becomes stale, and it's hard to stay into them. One book series that I recall getting bashed for this was Twilight. Not that I personally read them, I only watched the movies. But per some people who did read it, there was an extreme lack of real character development. And though they may have liked the romantic aspects of the books, it did hamper the overall experience for them. I'm not bashing it, just passing along some information. Number 5. World building. This one is kind of funny to me because I was just reading a movie review and someone complained that the world building and story got in the way of the horror. Guessing they just wanted jump scare central? But world building is probably one of the most important aspects of a good story. The world your story is set in needs to feel real. And this doesn't have to be a whole world per se. If your setting is a city, neighborhood, or even just a single building, this needs to feel like it could exist. And that doesn't mean it has to be hyper-realistic or anything. I mean, look at Xenoblade Chronicles. This game's world is 2 giant robots that stopped mid-battle many years ago and developed into habitable lands. That sounds nuts on paper, but when you experience these lands and learn more about them, seeing the different regions, you get this feeling that, yes, this world is alive. It's a big part of why people keep coming back to the game series. Number 4. World logic. Going almost hand in hand with world building, we have world logic. This isn't strictly for the world itself as it affects characters too. Consistency is the name of the game here, as things need to make sense for whatever world this is set in. Let's say you are writing or reading a true story drama about a teen high schooler who wants to become a football quarterback. They juggle grades, a relationship, and the football tryouts. So, they make the team, but just barely, and it's all thanks to their hard training and determination. Then, on the first play of the season, they shoot a black hole out of their hand and turn into Godzilla. The end. not really logical and completely out of left field, and most likely turning off the reader base. Number 3, relatability. Here is another one that is both for the world and the characters. Readers need to be able to relate to aspects of the story, whether it be through the situation the character is put in, the way they act, or the world they are in. Without any semblance of relatability, we can't form a connection. This is why our comic book superheroes have their quirks or fears or family. Bruce Wayne is rich beyond rich. Most readers won't be able to relate to that aspect alone, unless, of course, your name is Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. But we can connect to him through him losing his parents as a kid. Maybe not through personal experience, but we can all at least imagine what that loss would feel like. We can relate to his sense of justice and not wanting to kill, because that would be a dark road to take. Same for Doctor Who. He may be an alien, but he is relatable through not just his appearance, but also in the way he craves an emotional connection and to not be alone in the universe. Number 2, a proper climax. This is very integral to a story, as without it, the story will just fall flat. A climax in the sense of a story is defined as the most exciting, intense, or important point of a story. For this, let's look at one of the most famous climaxes in media. Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. So, Luke Skywalker is all but defeated by the evil Darth Vader, and then Vader tries to reason with Luke to get him to join the dark side and see his true potential. Luke states that Obi-Wan told him that Vader killed his father, and Vader replies,
"No, I am your father."
Sorry for the spoiler, even though it's one of the most iconic and well-known movie moments of all time. But that is an absolutely amazing climax, and it's very, very important to not just that story, but for the entire Skywalker saga as a whole. Now, let's say that instead of the fight between Vader and Luke, it instead just ended instantly, with Luke just getting Vader in one slash with his lightsaber, and that they had no connection whatsoever. We would all be very unimpressed, and the movie would have just faded into obscurity. And number 1, proper punctuation. Okay, so this one is more or less for me just to rant about writing in general. Commas and periods have a function. Use them. Stop this run-on sentence nonsense. This is true for any writing. I don't know about you, but when I read a post on something like Reddit and someone isn't using punctuation, I will have to read this sentence multiple times just for it to make sense. It's dumb, and it's not hard to add. It's not like it takes some special degree to use or anything. Just use them. Alright, well, that's really all I had for you this week. And yeah, I know this was a bit of a shorter video, and they'll be longer next time. But let me know down in the comments if you found this useful or just entertaining or anything. Also, if you could, let me know if you dabble in any writing. Like I do. Outside of these scripts, I've actually off and on for the past few years been working on my own book, a fantasy fiction story. And maybe one day it'll actually be finished. Who knows? Well, until next time, take care. Hey, thanks for watching.
Give us a like if you enjoyed it, and dislike it if you didn't.
Let us know what you think about the channel.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Tell your mom.